Hey everybody, News Now Wyoming here, bringing you an update on a story I did this past summer. And this is going to be about the story of Preston Sowles versus the City of Loveland. I care most about this one because I am 40 minutes away from Loveland. I do visit it quite often, so I care very much what happens there. Just as a refresher, here's kind of what happens. So the cops show up, there's been an accident. This is Preston Sowles here that he's talking to.
Really? These guys don't know what happened. I didn't.
Okay, if you're not talking to anybody, you can leave.
Or you can leave.
No.
You're dismissed.
No.
We can't leave. I'm not leaving.
Okay, then come and talk.
No, I'm not going to come talk to you.
The Fifth Amendment's right to
So they do end up arresting him for refusing to ID himself and refusing to answer questions about an accident that he did not actually witness. All he did was help pull, and in fact he didn't help much at all there either, but he may or may not have helped save the guy after he wrecked his bike. And that's all this was. This was not a criminal matter that he would have been a witness to. The man had a bicycle accident, a motorcycle accident. So later on in the video, and I do show some of that in my original one, they actually state, we could have arrested him for destruction of evidence because they moved the motorcycle. So they actually were trying to figure out a way to charge him anyway with the crime that they knew he was guilty of. Now it's important, and I think in the previous video I actually sat around and counted all the cops, and there were like 14 or 15 cops involved in this arrest. Not only one that did the arrest, but 15 people allowed him to. They allowed his rights to be trampled. And yes, he was injured during this. So, today we are going to go over the actual settlement, because last time we went over the lawsuit and it did settle on the 11th of January. Alright, so the parties to this full and final settlement agreement and release are as follows: Preston Sowles and City of Loveland, including a bunch of stupid officers. Now, I do want it to be made clear here, all these officers still have a job. I did reach out to the Loveland Police Department, and that's all that they would confirm for me. They would not confirm if there was any discipline action taken. They wouldn't release any of that information. But they do still have jobs. They are still employed by the City of Loveland. So these officers that either trash somebody's constitutional rights or allowed that to happen are still employed by the City of Loveland. And all of its assigns, blah, blah, blah. The case or controversy given to this agreement is claimant's contact with the officers on or about September 22nd, 2019 in Loveland, Colorado, which is the subject matter of claimant's lawsuit titled Sowles vs. City of Loveland et al. The incident or all matters which were raised or could have been raised by claimant in this lawsuit. The claimant hereby releases, acquits, and forever discharges the releasees of and from any and all liabilities, controversies, damages, actions, causes of action, claims, demands, expenses, attorney fees, blah, 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 which the claimant now has against the releasees. The claimant hereby acknowledges and agrees that this release settlement agreement and the terms thereof shall be binding on him, his agents, attorneys, etc. All kinds of boring stuff in there. He also hereby agrees to defend, indemnify, and hold harmless releasees against any claim, known or unknown, which might be asserted against releasees in regard to any subrogated interest, lien, assignment, or other derivative claim, including but not limited to lien holders, Medicare and Medicaid, to the extent such interest, lien, and assignment or other derivative or subrated claim exists. The consideration to the claimant is as follows. A sum total in the amount of $290,000 and no cents will be issued. Upon release of this executed release, the city shall cause to be paid the agreed upon settlement amount as follows: a sum of $265,000 to be sent to his attorney within 14 days. Sum of $25,000 as a holdback to be paid for his medical. We're not going to go over these. These are not really our business, but you can pause it to read that if you truly want to care about that. But it says, and this continues going on, that stuff that again is all about his medical bills. They're saying $25,000 has to be set aside to pay your medical bills in relation to this case. And then that money will be, any money that is not used on that $25,000 will go to him. Either side may issue a press release that states the parties have settled a federal civil rights lawsuit brought by Preston Sowles, a Loveland resident, against the City of Loveland and 4 Loveland police officers. Paul Ash. You know what? I don't even care to say their freaking names. They're stupid officers. Stupid officers. They don't deserve their names to be read out loud by me. In the lawsuit filed in the District Court for the State of Colorado, Preston Sowles alleged his rights were violated under the 1st, 4th, and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution during a September 22, 2019 arrest. The city responded by denying the allegations. Although arrested, Mr. Sowles was not prosecuted for any conduct that he engaged in on September 22nd, 2019. So the city responded by denying the allegations. And that can be part of their press release. So they still don't have to have an admission of guilt, which I am sorry, you guys. Take it to a jury. If you find yourself in the same situation, do not let them get away with not admitting guilt. They need to admit that, yes, we screwed up. Yes, we violated your constitutional rights. Now remember, in Colorado, they don't actually have the qualified immunity that the rest of the country has. They were the first state to actually say, no, that's stupid. That's not in the Constitution. And so they actually made it to where officers in Colorado don't have it, which each state is allowed to do. Settlement ends the continuation of lengthy and expensive litigation. Resolution is deemed to be in the best interest of all parties. The City of Loveland and the officers were represented by the Who Cares. Preston Sowles was represented by Loveland attorney Sarah Schilke. The stupid officers agree they will not engage in verbal, electronic, or written communications, including any public or social media postings that criticize, disparage, or defame claimant with regard to any of the incidents at issue in civil action, this lawsuit. The settlement of that litigation or any related claims unless as required by law. So the officers will not actually say anything. They can't about this lawsuit. And if this is their only interaction with Mr. Sowles, they can't actually speak about him at all either in any of these verbal, electronic, or written communications. Claimant will execute this agreement. The claimant will take all steps necessary to dismiss with prejudice the lawsuit. So he did that on January 11th. January 10th is when he moved for it, and the 11th is when the court did it. Dismissed it. Claimant, and it is with prejudice, so it can't be brought again. I mean, again, this is a settlement, so that makes plenty of sense. Claimant agrees not to assert the settlement as a basis for any future claim. Okay. He does not agrees not to apply or seek employment with the city. So for the rest of his life, he cannot get a job with the City of Loveland. I don't know what he did. I do remember it was part of his lawsuit, what he actually did for a living, but he can't find employment in the City of Loveland because he sued them and this settlement agreement. Now, Colorado has a lot of employers. There's a lot of places that somebody can work. But having a nice, cushy government job is pretty nice, isn't it? After the city causes to complete the obligations as set forth in Part 1 of the consideration, he warrants and agrees to fully satisfy any outstanding liens or judgments. He agrees to direct his attorney to hold sufficient funds in her trust account to satisfy all liens. Blah blah blah, all kinds of boring stuff, right? And he won't hold the city liable for any of his expenses. So this is a bunch of warranty of claims, no promise or agreement, not actually written here, was made. So they're basically just saying that we didn't promise you anything that's not written here to get you to agree to this. And again, you guys, we'll get to the second one. This is all standard. This is also standard, the confidentiality, non-disparagement. So the claimant, Mr. Sowles, is not allowed to publicly talk crap about the officers in this action, about this action. Now, if anything else that he sees that the police officers do, he can speak up and forever shout out how evil they are. But he cannot say, this is my example of what they have done to me. He can't do that, otherwise he's got to pay them back. Any future claims or complaints brought against the city and any police officers arising out of an unrelated incident and any statements made by claimant's attorney regarding such unrelated incidents shall not be seen as a violation. So, yeah, he can talk about any other action. So if somebody else were arrested for something similar, he can talk crap about those stupid officers all he wants. He cannot talk about his case. Claimant and his attorney also agree that the terms and conditions of shall be kept strictly confidential by the claimant and his attorney, except as to the information contained in the joint press release set forth above and the exceptions set forth below. Claimant and his attorney shall not release any additional information concerning the terms and conditions of the settlement reflected by this agreement or the terms of this agreement to the actual document, nor shall claimant or his attorney discuss any information related to the settlement of this case. He may disclose the terms of this settlement to his spouse, his children, his attorneys, his accountants, or the IRS. Claimant may disclose the terms of the settlement to the extent required by order of court. If so ordered by a court, only specific information so ordered will be disclosed. Claimant's attorney may disclose the non-public terms of the settlement to her spouse, her staff, her attorneys, her accountants, or the IRS. She may not disclose any non-public terms of the settlement in any public forum. It is fully understood by the claimant that this provision is an integral part of this release. The claimant also understands and agrees that any violation of this provision by him or his attorney will lead to damages, injunctive relief, and the releasees being entitled to reimbursement or reasonable cost and attorney fees associated with the breach and action stemming from it. So yeah, if you violate anything, we're going to sue you, and you're going to pay us back. No admission of liability. The claimant acknowledges that releasees expressly deny any liability on their part and that this agreement is not to be construed in any way as an admission of liability, but only as a settlement of disputed claims and done for purely economic reasons. They did nothing wrong. We're doing this because it'll be cheaper for us to settle with you than to go to court. That's what this paragraph says. Screw you. Screw you, City of Loveland. Screw you, Police Department. This is wrong. This right here is what is wrong. I like the fact the man is getting money. $290,000 is nothing to sneeze at. $25,000 of that for the medical expenses. Sorry. But this is complete crap. Make them say, yes, we did something wrong. Make them actually say, we were wrong to arrest this man for not violating the law. We were wrong. This man did absolutely nothing wrong. We arrested him. He did nothing illegal, I should say. Maybe in some people's eyes he did something wrong, because some people think that if police talk to you, you have a responsibility to talk to them. Okay, that's a responsibility, not a lawful not something lawful. I don't talk to police when they ask me questions. Screw you, cops. They have every right to ask anybody on the street any question they want. An officer can walk up to you and say, "What are you doing here?" And they are perfectly capable of that. You want to know why they are capable of that? Because I can walk up to you on the street and ask you the same thing. Now, what they are not capable of doing is when you say, "I'm not answering your questions, I have no interest in being involved in this," they can't then arrest you for it. That is a constitutional, that has been proven in court time and time again. We did talk about some of the case law in the previous video. This is just something so ingrained in our system that you do not have to talk to the police if you don't want to. They have every right to ask you whatever questions they want, and you have every right to tell them to screw off, to kiss your ass. That is a constitutional right. And so for this part right here, let's actually use the highlighter, that they deny that anything was wrong. That's complete crap. And I'm sorry, Mr. Sowles. I realize that you did this for the money. You weren't out there to prove a point. But this is wrong. You should have held out until they said, "Yep, yeah, we were wrong. We shouldn't have done it," or taken it to court. This was a perfect case for a jury. This was perfect. Everything about this case, this was such an easy win for a jury. There's no doubt that a jury would have found in your favor. Maybe not to the tune of $300,000. I don't know what a jury would reward you. But your case was perfect for a jury. And then they would have been found that, yes, they violated your rights. Here, they haven't been found that they violated your rights. And that is so disappointing. Because they did. They violated your rights, just like they violate people's rights every single day. But it's not very often that we get very clear evidence of how much they violated somebody's rights until we see your case. Your case was perfect for our district to be able to, our circuit or our federal circuit courts here to be able to find in your favor. And then when they appealed it, to be able to win in that. Now, it wouldn't have gone beyond the appeals courts. But here in our area, we haven't had a lot of case law come before the federal courts of appeals. So, we need more case law in our area, and this was perfect for it. But I get it. $290,000 is nothing to sneeze at. I understand it. And in a similar place, I would like to think I would do different. I think I would wait for this language to not be there. God, how much I hate this language. Yeah. But they were guilty. And you should have made them admit that they were guilty. A bunch of boring stuff here about income taxes. It shall be construed and interpreted in accordance with the laws. So the miscellaneous provisions, this agreement and any attachments to this attachment contain the entire understanding of the parties hereto with respect to its subject matter and supersedes all prior oral and written understandings and agreements between the parties. Documents entitled Addendum Medicare Provisions, blah blah blah. This agreement shall be binding upon the claimant, his heirs, blah blah blah. Claimant agrees to cooperate fully and execute any and all supplementary documents and take all additional action which may become necessary or appropriate to give full force and effect to the basic terms and intent of this agreement. Parties agree that each shall bear his or her own costs. The claimant acknowledges that he participated in and had equal opportunity to participate in the drafting of this agreement. Okay, so a couple pages of signatures. And so the addendum Medicare provisions, we're not going to go over that. That's not really our business. And then indemnification. So let's come back up here to the top. So I got this via a public records request with the City of Loveland. They didn't hesitate to give it to me. I think I put in the request on Tuesday and they gave it to me on Friday. So they were really fast on releasing this to me when asked for it. So I thank the City of Loveland for being so open with this. I understand that other places in Colorado have been more reluctant to release this type of information, so thank you. However, your officers were guilty. They violated someone's rights. They destroyed his rights, trampled all over them. And yes, that is extremely upsetting, as I hope it would be to anybody. So, $290,000 settlement. Good job. Congratulations, Mr. Sowles. I really hoped for a different outcome on this, because the officers were guilty, and they were clearly guilty. There was no question about their guilt. There was no question about how horrible that they treated you. There was no question about how they trampled all over you and your rights. But I understand. $290,000. Congratulations. Thank you.